Hey guys. So let me ask you this. When you work at a store, no matter what retailer it is, whether it's a supercenter, whether it's a grocery, just a regular retail, what is one of the things that we always deal with in retails or any kind of store environment? What is the one thing we deal with, folks? We deal, believe it or not, with customers. But you know what's funny? Is sometimes customers will understand our plight. They will understand that there are certain things beyond our control and we can't help it. But then again, you get customers that just want to pick on things for no real reason. And quite honestly, there's a lot of us that we will continue to work because we love getting paid and we love the working environment, despite how some people may feel about the jobs that they work for, the companies that they work for that are the same as ours, or under the same banner. You know, we like the people. We like the people that we work with. And that's why we keep coming back day after day. But the customers are another story. Because like I said, customers, some of them will understand, how we feel. Understand our plight. But then some of them just won't. And some of them will find just any kind of excuse to come down on us, either because they've had a rough day, or they're just one of those people that, let's say in the case of my job, was against the company I work for, even planting a store in my now former hometown, or one of my former hometowns of Patterson, California. And they'll find any way to tear that store and its people associated with it down because they still feel resentment. Now, with any company, there's always the same message that a lot of us hate to say. Or hate to utilize and hate to hear, but we got to live by it. And that is, the customer is always right. And this would put any of us into a situation that really just makes us question why do we even follow certain rules if we got to break them, or assistants have to break them, or assistant managers, that is, have to break them just to make the customer happy. Why do we even have that rule? If the customer is always right, we might as well make them happy, make them happy and give them what they want. Even if that customer decides to try to get one over on us, and believe me from experience, there are times they've done that with me and many of my fellow associates to where they'll get one over on us. I'll give you an example. Several months ago, I'd say earlier this year or something like that, I don't know. There was something on sale. I was checking out a customer or something like that. The customer was checking out. And they said, and they were getting something. I can't remember what it was, but it was something that was beyond the price that they paid for. It was more than the price they paid for. So we went to go look. And apparently this customer has had a history of doing this at our store. What they would do is essentially take one of the clearance tags we would have and switch it. That's right. They would take the clearance tag and they would switch it. Or what they would do is they would take the display prices, those little boards that we put in the stores to kind of show you what the item is in that area, or below it, how much it is. Those little signs, the price signs, if you will. Well, apparently, like I said, this customer has had a history of doing this, but he's basically taking the price signs when no one's looking, switching them around, and making them look cheaper than what the item originally is. And I have been one of those people that fell for it, because apparently the other thing they do to make sure they have proof that this is what it is, or this is how much it is, they take a picture. And what does that do? That basically outs us by at least $10 of its original price, because we have to give it to them the way they see it. And if they have to have an assistant manager called to confirm it, they still get it the way they want. So the question is, why do we even have these rules, right? And that's not the only time. Sometimes people will take yellow stickers that we have on other items that are priced for clearance, take them off, and they will place them on items that are not for clearance and say they are, and try to get them for that price. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of you listening know exactly how I feel, or me and my fellow associates, or any of you feel when that happens. It's like, why do we even have these rules? Because even if you try to argue with the customer, they will always end up being right. And even though later on, we visually will see and find out that they're wrong, they're always right. But you see, that's not the only thing. You see, there are times that with any retail job, there will be certain things that you need to provide the customer with when they're checking out that you may not have access to. In this case, as of recently this week, it's plastic bags. Now, depending on where you live, there are states out there that do charge a certain amount for bags. Here in California, it's 10 cents. In other places, it's 5 cents. Others, it's 20 cents. Some maybe even a quarter. You get the idea. Well, basically, earlier this week, I found out that our company, in a lot of the stores within the region, are out of bags. The reason being is because there was a delay in the delivery to not just our store, my store, but to all the stores in the region because of weather-related situations or something like that. There was basically a delay in the delivery, period. So we utilized what we could to give the customers satisfaction, to give the customers a happy experience. But when we would try to explain to them, but what I'm trying to say is there are those customers that when we try to explain to them, oh, we're sorry, we're out of bags, they would have an attitude. Now, some would be, hey, it's not your fault, but you know, the store should be prepared, or the company should be prepared for that. Well, others will basically get in your face, or basically get mean with you, basically just literally want to try to tear you down because, oh, you didn't have this and you're supposed to. I'll give you an example. Of what I went through this week. Because myself and my fellow associates have also dealt with this, because they've had people say the same thing and get in their face. And I understand it's the Christmas season, it's the holiday season. People are going to have attitudes because they want to do some shopping. They want to get out of the stores in a hurry before the kids get home and all that. We get that. I understand that. But here's what I'm saying. All right, here's what I'm saying. Hear me out. So anyway, I'm watching self-checkout, the grocery site self-checkout. Guy says he needs a bag. Paid 10 cents for a bag. I tell him we're out of them. And he says, well, what am I supposed to do? I said, go to customer service, they'll refund you your 10 cents. So, obviously, I don't know, he just didn't want to go there, or there was a line. So he goes, and then not even a minute or two later, I see him again. He says, you guys owe me 10 cents, owe me a bag. Remember me. And I'm like, okay. And I explained this to my fellow associates during break in the lounge. And they're like, really? And I explained that to my mom, and she's like, seriously? And I can only guess, and God forgive me for saying this, I can only guess that he was probably one of the people that maybe didn't want to have a Walmart in Patterson. That's all I'm thinking. But again, I'm not the only one that's dealt with that. My other associates during the day and at night have dealt with this. Even my CSMs, my customer service managers, and even my assistant managers have dealt with this. Heck, I'll even give it to you like this. There was a lady that was waiting for stamps, or a person waiting for stamps for about 20 minutes, and I admit that was a long time, but it was beyond our control because there was only one CSM in charge, and she was going back and forth. She was bouncing back and forth, and she couldn't get to that customer right away. And I understand customer comes first, but when you have a CSM going all the way to layaway, and then going all the way to the back to electronics, and then having to come all the way back to the front, it takes time. And when you think about what happens, and when I think about what happens, I think it's God's way of trying to tell these people, you need to have patience with these people that are serving you. Because if there's only one person in charge, and they're responsible for doing everything that a CSM or whatever needs to do, they can only do it once at a time. It's not like they could just get inside a magic toll booth or something like that and say, here, clone, I need 2 clones for myself. And out comes 2 different clones. Can't do that. And again, maybe this is God's way of trying to teach them patience during this time of year. But Lord, forgive me for saying this, patience is not a virtue with some of these people. It's not. And I think we all know that. But yeah. And heck, even earlier this week, I was dealing with a customer. I think it was, well, not even earlier this week, but last week, I was dealing with a customer. And I know, and I have an associate that backs me up, and I know my CSM knows I was right, but again, customer is always right. Why do we even have the rules? Was returning a battery. Okay. He wants to exchange because he got the wrong size battery. He takes the battery back, explains the situation. Long story short, I had to refund the battery he wanted to exchange. Basically, different price. It was a different price and everything. What happened was, again, when you return a battery, you get a core fee back. I understand that. So what happened, long story short, I did everything right, but the guy still wanted his core fee. And he made a big deal about this. So finally, I guess my CSM saw the other receipt that I used to do the exchange with, and she even tried to explain it, and with our assistant manager there, just decided, you know what, give it to him. The assistant manager said, just give it to him, go, let him go. And he got what he wanted. He got his core back. And I get it. He was exchanging a battery that died for a new one. I get that. But here's the thing. It was a Ford battery. And we don't carry Ford. But I understand we have to take it if he wants to exchange it. It's just complicated. You kind of get the idea, right? Kind of get the idea. You're probably watching this going like, yeah, we kind of understand what you're saying, Brian. But again, why do we even have rules? I mean, I'm sure store managers, no matter what company they work for, whatever stores they run, are asking themselves the same thing. Why do we even have rules we have to follow? Why do our regional managers have rules that we have to follow if these people, these customers that are obviously sometimes in the wrong or trying to get something at a price that's not really the right price or whatever, why do we even have rules? Just doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It's just one of those situations like. And then on top of that, and this is a common complaint with me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that deals with this. But one of the common complaints I've had, is anytime I turn off my light, anytime me or my fellow associates turn off our lights on our registers, it usually means we're moving to another register, moving over to self-checkout, going to help out customer service, go help out layaway, go outside, help get some carts in, whatever. Or even in most cases, either going on break, going to lunch, or going home. Usually when a light is off at a register, that means that register is closed. But yet people still constantly decide to come into that register and check out. And what do we do as associates, as employees? And I'm sure a lot of you can relate with this. What do? We end up having to serve the customer. Because if we don't, we chance and risk the possibility of causing a big scene and getting people complaining about us, so we have to serve them. Even though clearly, like let's say this is the light for a register that's on, clearly, like now, the light is off. And it should indicate, hey, we're closed. Now true, some of our registers don't have all the close signs or lane close signs they should, but still that should be a clue. But my reasoning for it, the reasoning I think I have for it, and this is just my opinion, my reasoning for it is the fact that I think some of these customers that we get are used to shopping at some of the local stores, smaller markets and all that, and they're just used to seeing people in line, and just by seeing people in line, they estimate that that lane is open. So that's the only excuse and reasoning I can think of that, but it's still kind of a situation, but it still kind of gets on me, because one of the things at my job, and I'm sure it's the same with a lot of yours, is if you reach a certain hour before your lunch break, your register will tell you you're approaching your lockout on several occasions, like 3, 4, 5 times. It'll tell you you're approaching lockout, you're approaching lockout. And then in the end, it'll either say, please sign off, please sign off, please sign off. And if not, it'll sign you off automatically and you can't get back in. And customers don't understand you have to go. Especially if you don't have no relief to relieve you. You still have to go. Now, does it make a lot of us look good in the end when we do that? No, it doesn't. But still, when we just abruptly leave and apologize for it, no, it doesn't. But we can't use the register anymore because we got to clock out for lunch. Or we either got to clock out and go home. That's the end of it. So yeah, in the end, I'm not saying all customers are bad. I'm not. It's just that customers have to understand that we have rules we have to follow. There's only a few of us at certain times that can do certain things, and we're doing the best. Basically, customers have to understand that we are doing our best to serve them. It may not be perfect, but we're doing our best. So I thought I'd just come out here and just talk about that rant a little bit, vent a little bit. So let me know, though, if you guys have had similar experiences at your jobs. Comment down below. I'll talk to y'all later.